Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Mike Reed here, and I'm back again today with yet another toy review for you guys. As you can tell by the title, this is a Bakugan review, and this is another Geogan Rising review, which is nice, and this is an actually new character, not a returning one. This is a newer character. For Geogan Rising, this is Fenneca Ultra, so kind of an interesting character. It's obviously based off of the Fennec Fox, which is kind of a cool design. We haven't seen that in Bakugan yet at this point, so pretty cool there with Bakugan Geogan Rising right there. Obviously we have Fenneca Ultra name right there. She is Chaos, and yes, it's a she, and there's a nice art render of Fenneca herself, which is very, very nice. Spinning around to the back of the box and trying not to make the whole thing flop over like a floppity floop. We do have the Geogan Rising logo again with a nice CG render of the actual product, Fenneca Ultra, with the Leap Open Baku action. And of course at the bottom here we do have the other toys in the lineup, including a Diamond Fenneca Ultra, which I'll definitely keep my eyes peeled for next time I head out to the shops, because that one definitely looks really, really cool, and I'm hoping I can find her. But anyway, up here we do have the Bakugan Fan Hub, which again you guys can check out in the App Store and Google Play. And then we do have your cards and Bakugans and stuff like that. You guys know that I don't really review the Bakugans just because, or at least anymore, because they're just kind of repeats of the same stuff. So what's the point of reviewing them? But anyway, moving the box out of the way, over there, and putting the camera actually in the proper position, let's actually take a look at the toy itself. We'll turn the lamp on as well, so that way we can actually see the darn thing. But before we actually look at the actual product, let's look at the cards that are included with the set, or the starter, or box set, whatever you want to call it. I think they're just called just singles. Yeah, with the single set. And so, of course, you get a standard gate card, which is very, very nice. Of course, the back is the same as all of them are, but on the front, we do get a nice art render of Ventus Lupithion from Battle Planet, so that's pretty cool. He was actually one of my favorite designs in the whole Battle Planet show, next to Truncanius and even a little bit of Fade Ninja. I'm surprised they didn't get an Ultra and Klopdor, but still, he was one of the better designs from Battle Planet that I really liked in terms of original characters from that show, or from that first season of the reboot series. So we do have all these stats right here, which of course, from top to bottom, we do have 700 for Pyrus, negative 200 for Aquos, 700 for Ventus, 700 for Chaos, negative 200 for Aurelus, and negative 200 for Darkest. So, not exactly good for those three factions, Aquos, Aurelus, and Darkest, but that's great for Chaos, Ventus, and Pirates, because you guys get a solid 700 on that. That's not bad for each of those. But anyway, moving the card down there, we're going to now take a look at the cards, at the other cards we get, which of course, the second one we get is the character card, which is Fenneca Ultra, and we get the full art render of Fenneca herself. And again, a really, really solid design for essentially an alien Fennec Fox. It's not that bad looking. Yeah, it is a bit feminine in its design, but that's to be expected because after all, it is a female after all, so makes sense. We do have 100 Bs right there for the B power. We do have 2 damage cost. We do have the shield and fist cores right there that you would use to boost the power of Fenneca Ultra. Now in the back we just have the standard Battle Planet Bakugan art there with the logo and the 6 factions all there. So that's very, very nice. And then lastly, for the cards, we do get Electric Howl, this ability card. And again, it does show Fenneca there howling and using it to make some sort of barrier or something like that. I think that's what it's doing, or what she's doing. We do have the 1 energy cost that you get the card out, and then we do have the effect down there. I have no idea what that means. I'm assuming that gives, well, I know that one is plus 2 damage, but I have no idea what the plus 1 with the snowflake is. I have no idea what that means. I don't know why they can't just do it like Yu-Gi-Oh! And just say, like, oh, this symbol means this. I don't know why they couldn't just do that, but anyway. On the back, we do have the standard art with the nice, what's it? The little hexagonal sort of honeycomb design on the back. And then we do have the little thing that shows you how to activate and deactivate the card during battle. So that's nice. Moving the card out of the way, actually, again, let's take a look at Fenneca Ultra in her ball form. And not a bad ball form by any stretch of the imagination. Unlike, for example, Maxitor from Battle Planet, she's not super obvious as to what the actual monster form looks like. Yeah, if you really critique it, you could say that the head's kind of poking out in a certain area of the ball form, but other than that, it's very, very good. I'm liking that most of these later figures are actually doing better at hiding the actual, monster form of the Bakugan without hiding what makes them iconic. What makes them iconic and what gives them characters. That way you can actually, differentiate between the different figures. So, because that's the whole thing about Bakugan. If you haven't watched my original video, just an overview about Bakugan as a series, which I might do an update to that because there are some things in the original video that I want to actually fix, so that way they sound a bit better and they make a little more sense. But anyhow, because what was I saying? Right, with these Bakugan figures, their whole gimmick is that, well, the first is most obvious. They roll and then onto a magnetic surface, and then they open into the different creatures and characters that show up in the show and just in the toy line in general. So, and also while doing that, they also function as a puzzle ball of sorts, where you have to figure out how to close each one, because each one has a unique way of closing and a unique way of opening. Some do, like, especially with the Ultras, some do flips, some do somersaults, others do all kinds of different ones. And then we just have the card Bakugan, which don't really do much besides just open up and show off the unique character inside, but they don't have any other unique gimmick other than really that. So anyway, I don't know why I decided to get into that whole tangent, but with that being said, let's go ahead and take a look at Fenneca while she's fully opened into her complete form. So bringing the card back in, let's see what she looks like. Kind of anticlimactic, but there you go. So moving that out of the way, that is Fenneca Ultra. All in all, she's a pretty solid little figure. There are some pros and cons I do have for this figure. First and foremost, the size. That's the size I like and I also don't like. Because yes, Ultras are supposed to be big and extravagant and super detailed, but at the same time, I think they put way too much emphasis into her tail, unlike her teeny tiny front body. And I mean, that's not much of a bad thing, as on the actual monster form, as we could see on the cards, her tail is super large and floofy, but at the same time, like, the body's still fairly large as well to compensate for that large, fluffy tail. So I don't know why they couldn't just do that on this one, as they had no problem doing it on any other Ultra, but whatever. I guess it has its unique art style to it, I guess. And also something I like that's kind of makes it that much more adorable to me is just how big her ears are. They're just really, really big, as you guys can see. She has gigantic ears, which is completely realistic to actual Fennec foxes, as they have very, very large ears, which allow them to pick up even the slightest sounds in their environment, which of course helps them with, exploring around and hunting down little scorpions and stuff, because Fennec foxes are native to deserts and stuff in real life, so deserty sort of areas, so makes sense. And another thing that I like about this figure as well is the face. The face is nicely detailed. If we could actually focus on it. Focus you. Focus. Okay, I think that's the best we're going to get out of it, but you can see the eyes right there are very nicely picked out in nice blue paint. We do have a nice black paint for the nose, and for the little crest of the head there. Very, very nice. The feet are nicely molded and detailed. I do like that. The back legs are a bit wonky as they are kind of weirdly positioned on the pin. As you can see, they are a bit off, but it's fine. It still stands up fairly well, so I can't complain with that. And also, the paint on the little tail appendages looks very, very nice as well. I cannot complain with that. And right there is the arrow to indicate which way to roll the figure when you're opening her up for battle. So, all in all, very, very nice figure. I cannot complain much with her at all. Oh, and also I should also mention that up here is actually a port for Bakugan, so you could actually equip one of the plastic pin-on Bakugan to her, as well as, of course, just putting on one on her tail. That, you know, that makes sense, of course. You know, not all Bakugan are going to work, but some are compatible with her, so that works out as well. Now I think it's time for some comparison. So let's bring in let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 other figures that I have in this series so far, or in this wave of figures. Starting with my Elemental Rare Dragonoid Ultra. So you guys can see just how tall he is compared to the rather short and stocky Fenneca. But then again, it makes sense. Dragonoid's a dragon, Fenneca's a fox, a fennec fox. So, of course, the sizes would be a bit different for the two of them. So, there you go. Next, we will bring in Demork Ultra, which is, again, one of my more, you know, he's one of my favorite more humanoid figures in the lineup so far. And again, the size is, because as you guys saw in my original Demork review, Demork is about as tall, if not a hair bit taller because of the horns than Dragonoid Ultra. So, makes sense that, you know, the size wouldn't be too much different with Fenneca either, so there you go. And as soon as the turntable stops spinning here, we will bring in some Geogan, because who doesn't love the Geogan, those wacky little things. So let's move him out of the way. And let's grab, who I want to grab first? You know what? Let's go with Montrepod, because he is absolutely massive. So here is Montrepod. And as you guys can see, Montrapod is still, and see, he's so big, he's even getting out of my camera frame. He's so big. He compared to even Fenneca. Even Fenneca is just a hair bit smaller than, not a hair bit smaller, but a good bit smaller than Montrapod. But that makes sense, because Montrepod is a giant centipede, so it makes sense that a fennec fox wouldn't really stand much of a chance against the giant monster centipede, right? I believe he's a centipede. Yeah, he's definitely a centipede. I was about to say he's a millipede. No, millipedes and centipedes are completely different species, so, but there you go. So that is Montrepod. Next we will bring in, if I could actually remember to close my figures up. Here, there we go. Okay, and then just gotta get Demork all closed up briefly. So give me 1 second, guys, while I close these guys up. Okay, I think we're good. Yep, there we go. All right, next let's bring in Diamond Talon Geogan for comparison. And as you can see, Talon is still height-wise much taller than Fenneca. It's you know, but again, this is to be expected considering how short and stocky she is, so it works. And especially considering Talon's also supposed to be a giant predatory bird, that too makes sense that, you know, Fenneca would be smaller than Talon, because if you know the Geogan in the actual Geogan Rising anime / just TV show in general, you would know the Geogan in their monster forms are absolutely ginormous. They are just stupidly huge. There's no reason for them to be that big, but they're Geogan. They're ancient Bakugan, so, or ancient primitive Bakugan, I should say. So I guess it makes sense that they would be absolutely huge because of, you know, gigantism and all that. So for our last comparison, before we wrap up the video, let's bring in Geogan Arachnia. And these two complement each other very, very nicely. And obviously lengthwise, Fenneca is definitely a good bit bigger than Arachnia. And height-wise, Arachnia is just a bit taller than Fenneca is. But then again, even in the show, Arachnia is a smaller Geogan than the rest of the lineup of Geogan thus far, so I guess it makes sense. Now, I know that there's one Geogan, and I don't even know if you can really call it a Geogan that's going to be bigger than any of these Bakugan in the Geogan Rising show, but that is for a later review, trust me guys. This fall, let's just say, things are going to get pretty epic. If you haven't watched my other reviews where I pretty much just spoil who's going to be coming up this fall, well, let's just say, let me just hint at it a little bit, I guess. And I'm just gonna say it in 2 words: Fusion Bakugan. And not the Fusion Bakugan that you guys are thinking of. It's completely different. But then again, I'll discuss that more once I actually acquire the figure for myself. So, with that being said, that is going to be it for today's review on Bakugan Geogan Rising Fenneca Ultra. Thank you guys so much for watching this review. If you have enjoyed this video, please make sure to drop a like on this video, subscribe if you're new, and ring that notification bell so that way you guys get notified for all my uploads. Later, eat school, and have a good one.